welcome to the Monday Morning Coach Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder, joined by the awesome Mr. King James Stallcup, the college guru up in the house. And we already, looks like we got old Daniel, old DJ coming in. And
What's up?
So we are going to start out with the DJ 85 Monday night prediction. I am going to take the Packers by 10. I'm going to take the Packers 21-31.
All right. I'm going to take Philadelphia 28-20.
28-20.
And that's because we can't.
Oh, man. Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's true,
Yeah.
man. You know, so yeah, we can't be blowing fourth quarter leads every week. That's for
Well,
sure.
I'm taking Philadelphia for the simple reason is I don't think Cowboys are making the playoffs. Therefore, we got your first round pick next year. I want the Packers to lose every game.
There you go. Yeah. There you
Hey,
go.
at least I'm honest about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Cowboys suck this year.
yeah, so
Although I will say this, they did. They traded and they got the Jets defensive lineman Quinton, which I think is. I mean, he's an all-pro. I mean, he's a freaking beast. And then you got your other defensive lineman they got from the Packers. His name's escaping me right now, but he's an all-pro. And then they traded for Luke Wilson, the linebacker. I think he's going to be awesome. Then we get DeMarvion Overshown back this week, and then we're going to see if Sean Revelle can play at cornerback. Now, let him get his experience and everything and get ready for next year. And when the draft comes, get you another cornerback and safety. You'll have a badass defense. You already got a badass offense, and let's go for it next year. How about them Cowboys?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm looking to the future. This year sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad that their defense was so bad because, like, the Broncos' offense is not that great, and you know we didn't really play a very good job against the Raiders. You know, I thought we should have put up more points. I thought we should have been able to move the ball a lot better than we did, and stuff like that. So to me, it's a little bit alarming. With us having KC come in this week, we'll see what they're made of.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Black Friday tool deals. Yeah,
Yeah.
I buy a lot of stuff on Black Friday. I mean,
Yeah.
but I usually will get there early. Usually at a tool store or something. That's where I get all my tools is Black Friday. So.
Yeah, I might actually for that episode because we're not doing an episode for Thanksgiving, so
No,
we'll be
not
off.
on Thanksgiving.
So
No.
I might do it. Will it be this Thursday? Be the Thursday before Thanksgiving? No, it'd be
no, it'd be. We got two more. Then it'll be.
Okay, so yeah, maybe that next that first Thursday before Thanksgiving, I'll do like some deals, like Black Friday deals for my tool review, and see if I can get you guys some good stuff up
I
in
was
there.
trying to think. Let me look here. One of the things. Let me check because I think. Let's see here. So that is on the 27th. So a Thursday. So I was trying to look because more than likely it would have been one of them days I call in sick.
Oh yeah, if the Cowboys are playing.
I think. Let's see. It'll be that next one, and they play. Yeah, I thought they were on the next day. So A&M and Texas play on Friday the 28th. I couldn't remember if they were on Thursday or not. I was like, if they were playing on Thursday, I would have called. I said I'm sick. I could
Yeah.
not have done the podcast while
And
that
then
game's on.
there was some really awesome college games. Seeing Wake Forest pull it through, that was crazy.
Yeah,
Um, there's some moving and shakers. A&M just dominated. Like they looked really good. Um,
I'm sort of looking forward. Let's throw the meme. I won't get into the college stuff because
okay,
there was some teams that lost. We got to talk about some stuff, and
all
it
right,
goes back to stuff I said the week before. And anybody go back watch the video, you'll see what I said was true. So, all right, let's roll the meme.
all right. Oh yeah,
All right,
that was hilarious.
I'm still gonna. I mean, I think it's funny, but Josh Allen's a better quarterback. I don't
Yeah,
care what he thinks.
yeah, that's
Whoever
true.
put that meme together,
They they had a bad day. They just had a really bad day at the office, but
true.
they did not play well. And
It happens.
Daniel's gonna say put some respect on those Dolphins, but
No,
I
I
know.
ain't putting no respect on that.
He's like get dominated by a clueless coach, and
Yes,
Bama versus
sir.
OU, yeah,
Those are my games of the week next week. I can
nice.
already tell you that's that. Matter of fact, let's queue up the college game of the week and get into the
All right,
standings and all that stuff, and let's have some freaking fun.
let's do it.
It's time for King James's college breakdown and rankings.
All right. This week was freaking awesome. I knew things were going to happen. And when you get in and you start looking at this and you get into the breakdown and everything, you'll see the week before. I mean, they got Texas. They were at 54. They're now at 45 that they didn't play. But what is going to be interesting is looking at how these teams are going to pan out now.
Right.
Because Memphis, you're not going to make it. Hate to tell you. You lost this week. Nah, 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 nah. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye, suckers.
Oh yeah.
Virginia, you ain't going to make it unless you win the ACC. And I'm looking at this now. BYU, you got your rear end whooped.
Oh
I
yeah.
watched that whole game. You didn't even score till late. No way. When y'all go to the Big 12 championship, if you make it, you're going to get beat by Tech again. Tech has a better team. So I think the Big 12 is going to get one team in, and I think one team from the ACC is going to get in. And when you look
Dude,
at
Daniel is he is all sharp tonight, man. Oh man. All
there's
right.
going to be some bias here because I'm going to explain why. You're going to think it's bias, but it's going to hold true. Wait and see.
Well, the way Texas Tech handled BYU, man. I mean, there's a little bit of Texas bias right there.
That
That
no,
was,
because I don't like Texas Tech. I don't
yeah.
like the Aggies.
No, I know.
Either
And
Oklahoma.
I was just joking that there's so many Texas teams in the hunt, and
Yeah,
you know,
there is, but Texas Tech has earned it. That you're going to get one team from the Big 12. I think. I think it's going to be Tech, and from the ACC, it's either going to be Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, or Miami.
yeah,
One of those. Now, there's a possibility SMU could sneak in there
yeah.
because SMU beat Miami. But I think you're going to get one team from there. So there's two. So let's go through and let's see. And Oregon, you were lucky this weekend because you almost got out. You almost where you wasn't going to be in the playoffs.
Because didn't they lose to Iowa?
No, Iowa. They beat Iowa by 2
Oh,
points. I think it was 18-16.
gotcha. I remember that was a close game. I didn't remember how it ended.
Yeah, Indiana. If you'd have lost this week, you still would have got in. But Indiana, boy, what a hell of a
Man,
catch that guy made.
that was crazy. That would
That
have been
was
a that would have been
that was that was Sports Center and then some. That
Dude,
catch he made.
that would have been a complete catch in the NFL. He got both of them down.
Oh yeah, that's done. I mean,
Yeah, it
good
was.
God dang. When he made it, we were sitting there watching. I said, first I didn't think he got his feet in. I said, I don't think he got that. And I was sitting there and they shot. I said, oh hell, they got both those in. That's a catch.
Oh yeah,
I was like, hell yeah, what a catch,
yeah,
man. I was
yeah.
like,
He even had the toe drag on that.
oh yeah. And
What is the percentage on Notre Dame now? Because they look like they're pretty solid in
they're
the
at
driver's seat.
49%. Notre Dame probably gets in this week if they beat Pittsburgh.
Gotcha.
So if they lose to Pittsburgh, they're not getting in. Simple as
Yeah,
that.
true.
So that's what I said. You're going to get down to the last month, and we're going to know who's going to get in. And the third, it looks like it's the three last games a year we're going to start seeing things that happen. So right now, I think you got Indiana, Ohio State, Texas A&M. They're probably going to win out. Alabama, they got a game this week against Oklahoma. I think they're going to beat Oklahoma. But if Oklahoma wins, and well, that's why I'm going to go through this. So right now, I got Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, Texas Tech, Ole Miss. That's 8 teams.
Right.
Okay. Then you get one from one of the ACC. So that's going to get you at 9. And then you got an at large for one of the G5 schools. So looking at that, more than likely it's going to be South Florida.
Right.
It's looking like. So there's 10 teams. There's 2 left. I don't think Brigham Young, they're at 45% right now with Texas. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to lose Tech. They're out. So there's going to be 2 spots left. Now, let's look at those 2 spots. And this is where it gets interesting. This is going to come down to strength of schedule, is what it's going to come down to. If Texas beats Georgia this week, I think they'll beat Arkansas. Whatever happens, A&M happens. But I think at 3 losses, that's going to get them in. I just think it's going to happen. Now, after that, then it gets jumbled at that point. If OU beats Alabama, and say they go 2-1 here on the way out, I think there's a possibility you see Texas and OU would get in with 3 losses.
Right.
The only way I see that not happening is if Michigan wins out and they beat Ohio State, then I think Michigan could be that 12th team. Then, well, now take that back. 2, 4, 6, 8, 8, 9, 10. No, I take that back. That'd be Notre Dame would go before them if they went out.
Right.
That's 11. So the 12th spot is going to come down to what happens these next 3 weeks. If OU loses Alabama and say Texas beat Georgia, Texas is probably the team that's going to get that last spot. And it doesn't matter if Vanderbilt wins out or not because Texas whooped their rear end.
Right.
And
It wasn't really like it was.
the rest. I mean, even when you have national sportscasters that are saying, "Man, they're all talked about it." I'm breaking it down for you, baby. Tell me where you're arguing with this.
No, just kidding.
I'm just looking at the teams that are left here, and think of it this way: if you have a 3-loss OU and you have a 3-loss Texas, which one you putting in? Because that means Texas beat Georgia or A&M, which are going to be top 5 teams, and they already got 2 top 10 teams, 10 wins. And on top of that, Texas beat OU.
Who was that? Like one of the teams, I can't remember who they were talking about. It might have been Texas A&M. One of the teams, they said they're 3-0 against ranked teams. I can't remember who that was. I can't remember.
I'm not 100% sure on that. Is it not?
It's one of the top teams. It could have been Texas Tech, but I don't know that they played that many ranked teams. I remember on one of the games they put a stat up there, and they said they're 3-0 against ranked teams. It could have been A&M.
Well, A&M they beat Notre Dame, who at the time
Was ranked.
was ranked because that was first game of the year that they played each other. No, I take that back. They played them the second game because Texas A&M started off like UTSA or something like
Because
that.
Notre Dame, didn't they lose to Miami week 1? Or,
Yeah, they lost to Miami, but yeah, A&M did. Let's see, they beat Notre Dame. I just looked up. They were number 8. They beat LSU, that was number 20, and then they beat number 22 Missouri.
Okay. So yeah, they said they're 3-0 against ranked
Yeah, so
BCS
yeah, I
opponents.
had to look at that to be sure because I wasn't 100% sure on that.
I knew there was one of the teams, I couldn't remember who. Like, the crazy thing is, like, Indiana just looks so good against Penn State, And, like, I mean, yeah, they pulled off a miracle because, I mean, Penn State brought the house, and it was wasn't it in Penn State? Wasn't it in their home?
I think so.
Yeah, because that's a tough place to play.
Yeah, they played at Penn State. Yeah, because I was thinking of watching the game. Yeah.
That was a tough place to play. Like, I mean, for any team, So for them to pull off that upset, it was crazy.
Well, now Alabama, they've beat 4 ranked teams.
Okay.
They beat Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, and Tennessee.
Wow.
And then if they beat Oklahoma, that'll be 5. That's
Wow.
what I'm saying. They beat Oklahoma, they're winning out.
Yeah.
So Alabama is, I mean, they're right where they need to be. A&M, the only hard game they really have left before they get to Texas is South Carolina, and
Right.
they are playing at South Carolina, so we'll see how they. No, I take that back. They got South Carolina home, then they play Sanford, then they get Texas. So I think they're coming in undefeated too.
Right.
So
what town is North Texas out of?
Denton.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just down the road from us, probably about if I don't, probably from where I live, about 45 minutes, 40 minutes.
Kind of up by McKinney or what?
Or
is it more
sort of. McKinney is going to be east of it, and so
Okay.
you got Dallas and Fort Worth, and they call that the triangle to Denton. And then when you go out like you're going to Oklahoma on 75, that's where you go out McKinney and Plano and all that's out there.
Okay. So you're going over towards Lawton and stuff.
Yeah, going out that way. So it's North Texas. I'm going to give them some due. I mean, that when you look in the top 25, they're not in the top 25, and that sort of sucks a little bit, I guess you could say. They've got them right now at number 28.
Okay.
So when you look at North Texas, North Texas, they got a pretty good team. I mean, they're 8-1, and their remaining games, I think they can win the next 3 games. So if they win the next 3 games, you've got South Florida, who we're projecting to be in there. It's at 7-2.
Yeah.
And then you got the Navy midshipmen that are 7-2. So I'm sort of curious to see. Well, it's going to happen one way or another because this week Navy and South Florida play. So that means when you go to the American Conference, more than likely, you also have Tulane. So when you look at Tulane, Tulane has to play. They don't. That'll be interesting to see because I'm not sure how the breakdown is there between. And then you've got them. See, they would have the same conference record, 1 loss, and the Mean Green won out, I think it would be they'd be 11-1, and Tulane would be 10-2 with one loss in conference. So I think that would make North Texas and probably Navy or South Florida that are going to play each other.
Right.
So if North Texas won out and won the American Conference, I personally think at that point North Texas could get in.
Yeah, and what's weird is like James Madison kind of came out of nowhere. Where is that place at? I don't even know if I've even seen them in the ranks before.
James Madison, if I remember right,
Is it like in
that's
Ohio or
like the Sun Belt. I think it's the Sun Belt Conference, and
Okay.
they are 6-0 in their conference, and they're also 8-1. But I think when you look at who they've played, I don't think their schedule, because see, they played Louisville and lost to Louisville,
Right.
and they've got Appalachian State, Washington State, and Coastal left. So more than likely, they're probably going to win those three. So I guess it would come into, do you like North Texas better or James Madison? Because
Sure.
one at large is going to get in.
Right.
And I would contend that the American Conference is a harder conference.
Yeah.
So I think if the Mean Green won all the way out in 11-1 and they got the same record, I think there's a possibility you could take and see. Because right now, if you look at what's there, they've got South Florida as the 12th at 40%. So they're considering their conference harder than James Madison. And
Right.
James Madison's lost one game and South Florida's lost two.
Right.
So if the Mean Green won out, I think they would move up into that spot and could be that one at-large team.
True.
Between
Yeah.
them and South Florida or the Navy, those would be the ones I think would get there.
Right.
That's my opinion on it. And then when I look at the athletic Coast Conference, or I'm sorry, the Atlantic Coast Conference, right now, I think you're going to see Georgia Tech more than likely is probably going to win out. Win out till their last game. Because, see, they got Boston College and they got Pitt. Pitt is the one that is the dark horse, in my opinion.
They're kind of playing spoiler too.
Yeah, because
Like they beat like Notre Dame or they beat Georgia Tech.
sure, and because see, Pitt right now they're sitting there and they're at 7-2, and they're 5-1 in conference. Okay, now they have to play Notre Dame this week. If they beat Notre Dame, that is really going to be something.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying this coming week, there's some big games really that you need to look at.
They're not beating Notre Dame. I'll get you that.
Well, I'm just saying.
Here comes the Notre Dame bias here, Daniel.
Yeah, but then again, teams I didn't think would lose lost.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just it's one of those things. I'm like, God dang, and then you look at this and then you say, well, you're looking at conference and the records there. You got SMU's another dark horse, and let me explain, because they've lost 3 games, but they're 5-1 in conference.
I think they would technically be a dark stallion. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
well, they got 2 games left. They got Louisville and California. Louisville will be a really, really good game for them. Okay, so you've got that game. So just say they did that, they go 6-1. All right. Now, what you're going to look at from that point is the Pittsburgh team. Now, when I look at Pittsburgh, they got Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, and Miami. That is tough. All those are ranked teams.
Yeah.
So I think Pittsburgh's going to have trouble winning, just my opinion.
Yeah.
But they're sort of a dark horse, but I just don't think they're going to be able to do it. That's a tough schedule.
I was kind of pulling for Virginia, but man, like they had so many chances to get back in that game, and it was at their home too.
Them losing at Wake Forest is bad. They got Duke this week, and then they got Virginia Tech. Now, Duke's going to be a big game because when you look at Duke, they're 4-1 in conference. That would take and make Virginia 5-2. If Duke plays and they win out, they got North Carolina and Wake Forest next. If they won out, that's one loss in their conference. That is very important because now that moves Virginia down, and Pittsburgh's probably going to lose one game in that conference. So now you're moving Duke up, and then you take SMU, they went out, that's going to move them up. And then you got to look at Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech, they got Boston College and Pitt. And then Pittsburgh. Then they got Georgia. I don't think they're beating Georgia. But that is not going to have any bearing as far as conference record. So if they beat Pitt, Pitt's out. So that would leave them with one loss.
Right.
So if they were able to pull that off, then you probably have Georgia Tech that's going to be in the playoffs. And now, to me, it's going to come down to SMU and Duke.
Right.
I mean, there's so many variables, and people don't really look at all of these. And I'm like, if that happens, and let's just say Duke or SMU gets in and they win, one of those teams win, you could have SMU or Duke get in there.
Yeah.
I mean, and people were not predicting that. And when you look at this, you don't even see Duke on here. You see SMU, and they got SMU at 11%. They moved up, and you'll see Virginia and Miami went down below them.
So I got a question for you. One of the things I thought was interesting was how they were all saying that Wake Forest was bowl eligible. So what does that really mean? Or do they have to do that like every year, or is it?
Well, Wake Forest, what that means is you got to win 6 games to get bowl eligible.
Got you. Okay.
So they're bowl eligible, and they're 6-3, but they're 3-3 in conference.
Gotcha.
So that's what makes all this interesting, and looking at the variables that are here right now. And that's why I say there's probably going to be our first 3-loss team has a chance of getting into this. Because somebody has got to lose that's on this list right here. Somebody's going up and somebody's going down. And, take, for instance, and this will be a really good example to look at. Say you look at Utah, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, they got Utah at number 13, okay?
Yeah.
They got Baylor, Kansas State, and Kansas left. They're going to win those, but they lost to BYU and Texas Tech.
Right.
Now, are you going to take and say Texas, they lost to a number 1 team in the country and a number 3 or number 5, if they just win one of those games?
Right.
There's 2 of their losses there. Are you going to take and say a 2-loss Utah team is better than a Texas team? No, they're not going to say that. That's not going to happen. And then
especially not with the Longhorn bias.
Yeah, damn right. But the other one I look at here that they want to talk about is looking at also USC.
Right.
And I'll put it this way: USC has a chance, and I'll tell you how. Because next week they play Iowa, which I think they should win it, but they could lose it. And then they got Oregon.
Right.
So if Oregon loses that, Oregon's going to have trouble, I think, at that point. Because when you look at who has Oregon played, well, if you look at the time, we thought the Penn State was a good win, but apparently we realized that wasn't. They lost to Indiana 30-20, and if they lose to USC, because they got Minnesota, USC, and Washington left.
Right.
And if
Dude,
they drop,
don't look past Washington. They
Well,
still got a good team.
yeah, but the thing is, when you're looking at Washington, right now they're at number 23, but they've lost 3 games.
Right.
Okay. They lost to Michigan, Wisconsin, and Ohio State. And Washington has 1 game left, Oregon. If they beat Oregon and USC beat them, Oregon's out. I'm just telling you, they're out with 3 losses. So now what you're going to be looking at, are you going to put a Washington team over Texas when they don't have any wins against ranked teams?
Well, heck no, because you got the Longhorn bias.
I'm just saying, strength. I said this a long time ago. Strength of schedule is going to matter. Now,
Right.
the other team that I look at from here is number 21, Michigan.
Right.
If Michigan they beat Northwestern Maryland, that's good. But then it's Ohio State. If they beat Ohio State, as far as I'm concerned, they got a claim.
Didn't they beat them last year? Wasn't there like a
Yeah.
big old riot at the end of the game?
Mm-hmm.
What's Michigan's percentage to get in?
Well, looking at it right here, 7%.
So it's not impossible.
Well,
So
the reason it
telling
is
me there's a chance.
that they don't have a good strength of schedule. The only win that they'll have that's against a ranked team at that point will be Ohio State.
Yeah, that's always just a huge thing. Is it in Michigan or is it in Ohio State?
No, they play at Ohio State this year.
Okay, cool. Because
And-
wasn't that at Michigan last year when it got all out of control?
Yeah. So you can see by looking at this, there's a lot of things that are going to happen here. And this week is going to be very interesting because if Oklahoma beats Alabama and Texas beats Georgia, it's going to throw everything into a whirlwind at that point.
Yeah.
I,
And that's because of the Longhorn bias that we have in here tonight.
That's right.
So.
hey, I even gave Oklahoma some love there.
Yeah,
And
sure
I don't
did.
like Oklahoma, so that
Yeah.
tells you right there. But that brings us into looking at what the rankings are. And you can see Oklahoma, they were actually ahead of Texas last week. Texas jumped them this week to number 10,
No.
which should have happened. Texas has beat Oklahoma, and they've beat Vanderbilt. They should be above them.
Well, yeah, and the Longhorn bias in here, too.
Yeah. But looking at those teams up there and looking at those records, Notre Dame needs to take care of business this week.
Yeah.
If Notre Dame loses, they're not getting in. I'm just telling you,
they're
it ain't
not.
happening. So that'll make it interesting at that point, because then at the end of the season, you got those teams playing each other, Pittsburgh and Georgia Tech, SMU, all of them. They're all going to be playing, and I think you're going to see fights for those remaining 2 spots, especially if Notre Dame loses.
Right.
That's going to really change a lot of the brackets and where they're set right now. But you can see they've moved Oregon down 1 this week.
Yeah.
And moved Ole Miss up. Well, it makes sense to me because I think Ole Miss is a shoe-in. I don't think they're losing another game. They don't have anybody left that's going to really challenge them, in my opinion. And
Yeah, I mean, I really think that with the Notre Dame bias in here, that Notre Dame's going to win out, and they'll be in.
well, see, I look at Ole Miss. They got Florida and Mississippi State left. Think about that.
Dude,
I think they're
Florida.
going to win both of those.
Yeah, Florida played tough though.
Yeah, but I just think Ole Miss is going to. I think they're getting in. I think Alabama's going to win out. I think A&M's going to win out. Indiana and Ohio State, I think, are going to win out. That's going to knock off quite a few teams that have a chance to get there. I just don't think they're going to do it. And
I don't see Michigan going into Ohio State and winning. Like
I
that
don't
is
either.
just such a tough place to play. And like, man, those guys are so fired up. Like, man, I mean, it was crazy. Like, just watching Ohio State go into Penn State last year. Like, I didn't think there was a way that Ohio State came out of that place with a win, and they just weathered the storm. Like, it was incredible. I was thoroughly impressed with Ohio State, the way they just were able to just run their game plan, not let the crowd get to them, and they just floored Penn State last year.
Sure. And I think where it's going to get really interesting is USC. USC, if they beat Oregon, USC's got claims to go be a third team from the Big Ten at that point.
Right.
And I because USC will have 2 losses and you'll have Oregon with 2 losses. And they've got Oregon at number 7 right now. I think that drops them down below a few of the other teams, especially if Texas and Oklahoma won. That would just be wow. But anyway, that's how I'm looking at the rankings this week, and I think that's what's freaking going to happen.
Well, thanks so much for bringing in the Longhorn bias this week.
Tune in every Monday because it's here.
There you go. Got it. It's so funny. It's so cool that Daniel's in on the inside jokes that we always bust on you a little bit, but
Hey,
it's
at
pretty
least
cool.
I'm consistent on it.
Yeah, no, you're a good sport, and it's pretty cool. We try not to pick on you too much.
All right, 2 games a week. First one, Texas Tech and BYU. And basically, the way I look at this is BYU's offense didn't do anything. They had 255 total yards, but the thing that amazed me, they only had 67 yards rushing to 149 for Texas Tech.
Yeah, they were horrible in the red zone.
They sure were. And then once you get over and you look at this, you'll notice right here, BYU had 2 fumbles and they lost both of them.
Yeah.
And
they were at critical moments while they were driving too.
Mm-hmm.
So it directly took points off the board, and then Texas Tech just capitalized on them.
Sure. And
they went for the jugular on those.
And I don't know what the hell that's doing there. Get that off there. Things want me to. Always when you don't want something, it pulls up. So when you get over here and you look at the defense, now BYU played pretty good defense. They had 4 sacks and 6 tackles for loss. Their defense actually played better, in my opinion, than the Texas Tech defense. The difference is the fumbles.
Right.
And Texas Tech also had an interception, so it was 3 turnovers to 0.
Right.
But watching that game, at no point did I feel Texas Tech was threatened.
Nah. I mean, they dominated that game.
I think so too. And when you look at it, they had 1 field goal. BYU, they missed. Texas Tech, the thing that amazed me, they wasn't punching it in the end zone like I would have thought. They had 5 of 5 field goals.
Didn't they have like 2 at like 50 and 51 or something like that? 49 and 51 or
something like that.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much the game. I just think Texas Tech has a better team than BYU, and I think they get the Big 12 championship. I think they're going to beat BYU again.
Yeah.
That's just what I think.
they might be able to game plan it and figure it out, but
and then the other game of the week was Oregon and Iowa, and Oregon, they were lucky to win.
That was close. And Iowa was just driving the ball, man. They just were relentless.
Yeah, and Oregon, they had more yards. But the thing that amazed me that Oregon's known for is their passing. They only had 112 yards passing. What they did great on was rushing was 261 yards.
Right.
That was the part of me. But, Iowa's they just fight hard. You know what I mean? But they just don't have the playmakers. That's what it really comes down to. And the thing that when I looked at this game more than anything is Iowa probably has a chance and probably might win this game, but they had 2 fumbles and they lost both of them. True. Oregon had a fumble, but they didn't lose it.
Yeah.
So that was a big part in this. And then when you get in and you look at the defense, just look at it.
Tackles for loss.
There's nothing there. Iowa defense didn't have a sack and only 1 tackle for loss. I mean, think about that for a minute. Now, Oregon didn't do much better. They had 2 sacks and 4 tackles for loss.
Right.
So, I look at that, and then I go in and I look at the special teams. There wasn't nothing special about that. Oregon, they did have 3 of 3 field goals, and Iowa had 1. And then if you look, Iowa punted 3 times, 4 times for Oregon. And there was no big kick returns or anything. It was just a hard fight. Of course, it was raining there, I think, too.
Yeah.
But
wasn't that one of the fumbles that Iowa lost like towards the end where they could have got back in it?
Yep.
Because I think that's where I stopped watching was right when they fumbled, and then I didn't see the end.
They had a chance, and they blew it. They had a chance to win that game and didn't do it. That's pretty much the gist of it. And but another thing, Oregon, if I'm not mistaken, they didn't have 2 of their top receivers available during that game also.
I'd be interested to see if Texas Tech covered the spread, because I would have thought that BYU would have been favored in that game.
I don't remember checking that, but I really thought before the game started, I really thought Texas Tech was going to win. And
I didn't even know that Mahomes was a Texas Tech alumni.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had Mahomes up in there rooting for him.
I was trying to remember the year he left, but Mahomes, I remember him in the Big 12 when we were playing. He was good.
Yeah, it had to have been probably 2016 or 2015 or something in there.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But I was always, people were like, why didn't Texas offer Mahomes? And they didn't offer that other guy that went to Stanford. I'm trying to remember, went to pros. What was his name? But there's been a few players they didn't offer. And people were like, yeah, you offered this quarterback, not this one. What the hell were y'all thinking, And but the guys they got they were all world, in high school. But when you get to college, you find out you're not as good as you think you are.
True.
That's just the way it is. And some college guys, when they get to pro, you're not as good as you were in college.
True. 100%. All right, so we ready to roll into NFL?
Yep, let's get it going.
Now it's time for Willie's NFL Breakdown, Power Rankings, and Fantasy.
Man, this really blew me away when I went and looked and it was 16-0. We'll go into the power rankings first. So man, look at the New England Patriots, #1 in the NFL, man. And
Mhm.
yeah, they've beaten up on a bad schedule. Have been impressive. Drake May's been looking good, and they just own Tampa. You have the Colts actually just somehow hanging on at that top spot there. I think the Colts have a bye coming up next week, so um, you know,
I'll say something about New England. Right now, when you look at them, they're 8-2.
yeah.
Okay, they're going to be 11-2, I think, because their next three games are the Jets, Bengals, and Giants.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
you can get ready to keep them at the top spot.
yeah. No, they're not gonna lose. I mean, I actually in fantasy actually drafted Drake May just in case I had any kind of quarterback issues. Well,
Hmm.
guess who my #1 quarterback was?
Drake May.
No, well he is now, but I had tip of my tongue the Bengals.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
what's his name? I can't. I can't.
Mayfield.
No, for the Bengals quarterbacks, the Bengals starting quarterback
Uh,
that got injured. I can't remember his name, but because I tried to do a Jamar Chase and whatever. I can't remember his name because he's been out for so long. Like I don't even think he's.
Burrow.
Yeah, Burrow.
Burrow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so I actually picked Burrow as my #1 quarterback and Drake May as my backup. And Drake May's been my #1 quarterback this whole year. So,
Oh, cool.
and yeah, dude, that's funny, man. Yeah, Jamar Chase was on bye this week, so it's pretty rough. But yeah, we got our Denver Broncos up here, #3 spot. It's pretty awesome. They got that 8-2, leading the AFC West. And they, do need to start games, instead of like trying to win them in the fourth quarter. I think this is like the fourth time we've done that. So yeah, our offense does need to play better. We can't just fall back on our defense the whole
Don't
time.
y'all
But
play the Chiefs this week?
yeah, Chiefs are coming in here to Denver, I believe.
Yeah, I think I was looking at it. If y'all win this week, that'd be 9-2. I think you win your next two because you got like the Commanders and Raiders, I think.
Yeah. So, like, it was funny because somebody mentioned to me, they're like, oh, yeah, the Broncos swept the Raiders. I was like, no, they didn't sweep them yet. But my bet's looking pretty good. I said the Raiders wouldn't win 6 games this season. So, we'll see how that pans
They
out.
probably won't.
Yeah. So then we got the Eagles playing tonight. I haven't even looked to see what the score is. But, I'm pretty sure that King James is going to lose this one because they're in Lambeau and it's going to be cold out there, and I don't know that the Eagles will play that great with
The
that.
Eagles are up 24-0 in the second.
What?
Not 0-0.
Oh, man. I was just getting ready to go over there and check it. Yeah. So we have the Eagles tonight, and they're coming off a bye, and they really need to get, they need to get going. Their running game has been, not that great. So if they get Barkley going tonight, and a lot of their wide receiver cores are just like not they're hit or miss. The one thing I notice is that if Hurts gets contained, he's not as effective if they're containing him, and then if they can't get their different stuff, and then King James has making the move to get edge rusher. That's probably good. To shore up their defense a little bit. So we'll see how that plays out. Tampa Bay's still up there, top 5. So they lost and didn't look the greatest to the Patriots. But they got a bye at a good time, and the team's been pretty injured. So, we got Emeka Boo. I don't even have the sound tonight, but we got Emeka Boo still going off. He went off pretty good for me, and they still have some good players. They need to get some players back. They're not getting Mike Evans back this year. Be nice if they could get Godwin healthy. I have Godwin on my keeper league in fantasy. And maybe get some more weapons. I don't know. I think McMillan's scheduled to come back like week 12 or something. So McMillan still could come back, and they could still have some wide receiver weapons. It'd be nice if they get Bucky back. They've been relying on Rashad White, and you could tell he's been pretty worn out from that. And then if we go to like the number 6 rank,
I want to make a
okay.
comment on Tampa Bay.
Okay.
I think they're going to get in, and I'll tell you why. They got 2 hard games coming up, which is the Bills and then the Rams. But after that, the only hard teams they really have are the Panthers, and I think they can beat the Panthers, and they got to play them twice. And all the rest of the games are very winnable. I think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. It's hard to beat Baker Mayfield. So then we have the Bills falling from top 5 down to number 6 this week, beating the Chiefs and a strong defense, showing good sign for the future, and then just ultimately getting crushed by the Dolphins. So that wasn't the greatest. They didn't have the greatest game. I actually didn't see the fumble on the tush push, but that was funny. That cracked me up.
Mm-hmm.
And then tonight we had the Green Bay Packers playing in the tundra, frozen tundra. It's supposed to be in the 20s, so it's one of the first cold games up there. We'll see if they take advantage of that. It's gonna be windy, and it was probably frustrating for them to take that loss against the Panthers, and there was a lot of inconsistency, and Tucker Kraft got hurt in that game. So we'll see. I have Musgraves going in my fantasy tonight, so we'll see how he does. Like I say, so far he hasn't done anything, but we'll see. Especially, I think the game just started like not too long ago, didn't it? Or no, that's actually second quarter.
No, they're in the second quarter.
Yeah, so we'll see how the Packers do, but I'm fine with you, James, if you just let the Packers lose every game all the way to the end of the year, and then you guys get a really good number 1 pick. I'm fine with that, because then it would be 2026 would be the Cowboys' year. So then we have like the Detroit Lions. They were at the number 1 rank, and they got beat, and it was like they didn't get beat by a very good team. So a lot of that stuff you're gonna have to like keep watching, because a lot of these divisional rivals coming up, they lost at home to the Vikings, and that is not a good look for the team. And the offense, they looked disjointed, and like I say, Gibbs had a horrible day. He had a better day yesterday, so at least Gibbs came back up. But the Lions should stay probably in that solid top 10 moving forward. The Seahawks have been such an impressive team. They really just look good. They've been just dominating on both sides of the ball. Their defense looks really good, and like I say, Sam Darnold's looking like an all-pro. The way he's lighting it up, he's got Jackson Smith Enigma, who's just going bonkers and just catching everything, and he's got a lot of weapons around him. So look to Seattle to stay up there. They have, I think Seattle has, they have to play Arizona, and I think there's like 2 other division rivalries that they have coming up. So Seahawks are gonna have to play well to stay up there in that NFC West division. The Rams actually probably moved up. I think the Rams might have moved past Seattle this week, but man, Matt Stafford just looked phenomenal, man. I mean, just MVP. Just the way he was throwing touchdowns and just hitting everything, and just looked real good. Kyron Williams had a good game, and there was a lot of good stuff out of the Rams this week. So the old Cronky Rams. I don't know if you know about the Cronky thing.
Nope.
So Cronky is the owner of the Avalanche, the Los Angeles Rams, and I think he owns like a team in Europe, like in London. Like I think he owns like, I can't remember one of the soccer teams over there, because they always complain about the Cronky stuff. So, we'll see how the Cronky Rams do. Like they were actually complaining because like the Avalanche went there a couple weeks ago and watched one of the Rams games, and they were all saying it was horrible why they did that, and just I thought it was cool.
Do.
Yeah, I was like, all right, whatever. But anyway, Cronky Rams. So then we have number 11, Pittsburgh Steelers. I could actually see Pittsburgh moving up if they get some things going, but man, they had so many miscues. There was a lot of stupid things. I have Austin the third on my fantasy, and he had one where like Rodgers put it right in his hands, it bounced off and intercepted. And you could tell Rodgers really super heated on that one. Because that goes on his stats, and it's like, dude, I put it right in your hands, and it goes right to the other guy,
Mm-hmm.
So I could see there was a lot of miscues. They're still not really getting the running game going as good as they probably should. But the Steelers' defense looked pretty decent, They did show up big in the victory over the Colts, and, it's just, where's the defense been, And, that pass rush, they were getting a lot of pressure on Danny Dimes and forcing him to make kind of some bad decisions. Then we got the Chargers. The Chargers are not going away. I expect the Chargers to jump up into the top 10 at some point. They lost to Atlanta, and now they actually came back to their winning ways, beat the Steelers. So at least look to those spots to swap. Pittsburgh moved down to the 12, LA move up to the 11. But no, their offense looks good, even when they don't have their starting running back. And I honestly think that the Chargers they could be that team to beat in the West when it comes to just their receiving core. Like they were just hitting on all cylinders with their receiving core, and they were just lighting up the Steelers secondary. So they looked really good. And then we have the number 13 Jacksonville Jaguars still hanging in there with 5-4. Impressive to see them still up in there. They really haven't had any real good weapons this whole season. They had a lot of injuries. I think Brian Thomas Jr. BTJ is out with the injury. So they lost some of their depth, but they got Jacoby Myers from the Raiders. So they still do have some depth at wide receiver, and they actually were showing a little bit of it. Lawrence was showing how he could kind of get mobile with his legs and pick up the first down. So not too bad at that number 13 spot. And we have San Fran sitting at the 14 spot. They could possibly move down. They didn't have the greatest game. Brock Purdy's still hurt, so Mac Jones is starting out. And there's a few other good weapons, Jennings, and I think Ricky Pearsall is supposed to be back here probably like next week. So they could get some injuries back. McCaffrey didn't have a horrible day, but he didn't do great. I mean, I still won in fantasy against him, so couldn't have been that great. But look to see San Fran stay in there. I mean,
Hmm.
they got 6 wins, so just kind of like we were talking about with bowl eligible, they got that 6 wins, so they're still in the hunt. Then we got the KC Chiefs at 5-4, losing to the Bills on the road, and you know it's pretty bad. I think the Chiefs had a bye this week, didn't they? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah,
I can
and
look.
so if the playoffs started today, the Chiefs wouldn't be part of them, and yeah, that is weird. But I think I remember because I had Kelsey, and I think Kelsey was on bye, but
Let's see.
in fantasy.
Yeah, because they played the Bills a week before, and then they got the Broncos this week. So, yeah, I think that's right.
All right. So then, moving on to the 16 through 20 spots, we got the Bears. Actually, the Bears looked pretty decent. I was pretty impressed with them this week. They played really good. I thought the Bears are like they're not gonna be sleeping at 6-3, especially in that division where you have like the Vikings and the Packers and all that. So maybe the Bears could just be, whooping on the Packers every week and get you that good number one pick there, James. Then we got Carolina Panthers. Like I say, I really like the Panthers. Man, like Rico Dowdle is just a beast. Like he's just constantly tearing it up for him. And once they get that, running game going, like they could beat any team, like beating the Packers on the road, and that was huge. But it is what it is. I mean, they're kind of lacking at a few positions. I really do like Vince Young, but he's kind of hit or miss. He's good one week, not so good the next week. A lot of their weapons, wide receiver weapons. I want to say I can't remember. They've lost a few. Coker, I want to say maybe came back or possibly got hurt again. I'm not sure, but they're really kind of lacking in their wide receiver room, and
Hmm.
look to them try to get some of those injuries back. But they're still in there. They're still in the top 20. Vikings actually, JJ McCarthy just he came back, really looked good against the Lions. I don't think they looked that great yesterday against the Ravens, but they're still hanging in there. I mean, they have a lot of good weapons around JJ, and like I say, that segue leads me right into the Baltimore Ravens, and Lamar Jackson's back, and he actually looks pretty decent. He looks like he's getting closer to that 100%. Henry had a decent day. Henry got going with some running. Once Henry starts carving up those holes, it's going to be a long day for your defense. And they actually had some pretty good play calling, I thought, with the Ravens to go ahead and take that win on the road. And like I say, they're 4-5, but they're not dead yet. They could still get in that wild card. So if the Ravens win out, they could stay up there. They're still staying in the top 20. Then we have the Arizona Cardinals, which, man, I don't know. They've been rolling with the hot hand with Jacoby Brissett, and like I say, I think they probably should stay with Jacoby Brissett because he's been doing good. But like I say, yeah, he is. I agree, better than Kyler Murray. Excuse me. But it's just hard to say what's going to happen with the Cardinals. They had a lot of really bad play calls, really bad game management, just stuff like that. They made mistakes that shouldn't be made, and they have been getting some of their weapons back. Like I say, anytime you see these guys go in there and have good days, you have Marvin Harrison Jr., who he's just hit or miss. I think he had a decent day.
He's going to
And
end up being a good player.
yeah, I mean, I'm not sleeping on him, but like I say, it's when you look at it, it's hard because there's not a whole lot of weapons. So when they're true double teaming Marvin Harrison, like it's rough for him to get open. And then you have Trey McBride's been getting in the end zone, which is good sign for that because McBride usually doesn't get in the end zone. But the Cardinals are just really, really hurting on their running game. I think they could be getting Benson back here pretty soon. I think he was out for like 4 weeks, but I think they should be. I think he's coming back from like surgery or something. So if Benson comes back, that could be helpful, and especially since he's on my fantasy team, that'd be nice. But we'll see how that goes. But they still have DeMarcado going, and they still have Carter, stuff like that. So they have some of their practice squad, jumping in there, doing good. But this is just an overall look at the whole NFL, kind of where everyone's at. We kind of went over like the top 20. There's really not too many teams that could jump up too much. Like maybe the Falcons could get some winning stuff going and move up in their division. They'd have to do a lot to take out the Buccaneers. You look at like the 49ers are only about a game out, game back. You look at like possibly the Cowboys, even though the Cowboys are 3-5-1, they're still dominating the Commanders. So, stuff like that, they
ain't doing anything. They suck.
They could challenge in that NFC East, but
no.
like as long as the Eagles are doing good, as long as the Eagles are beating the Packers, King James is all right with it. So
I want them first round picks to be high.
Yeah, and you look at like the division with like the Steelers, Ravens, Bengals. I mean, it's just so tight, and if the Steelers keep losing, like they're just opening the door for the Ravens to come up in there. Colts are pretty much dominating the South, the AFC South. And like I say, the Texans got a win against the Jags, but didn't really do them too much. Titans are done. They're out. Then you have like the AFC West. It's going to get really tight because you have the Broncos. All the Broncos have to do is drop one. Chargers pick up one. And that's going to be a tight division. Especially if the Chiefs beat the Broncos this week, then that whole division is going to tighten up. And then you have the AFC East where the Patriots are dominating, which is really surprising because Bills usually dominate that. And then the Dolphins picking up a win against the Bills. Like, I don't see the Dolphins coming back from that. Like, they're not going to get in at like a 9-7 or anything. But, and Daniel's right, too. Like, the NFC North and the NFC West is looking really tough. So, that's true. When you look at it with the Seahawks, Rams, and Niners, like they're all right there. Any one of them could take that over.
Really good.
That's a really good point, Daniel. And and AFC West, like I say, you could potentially have 3 teams vying for that spot in the AFC West. But like I say, it's all going to kind of shake out here because we're just past the halfway point now. And so it's going to start shaking out who's the real deal, who's going to be the teams to beat, and who's going to, be these teams that are vying for that, playoff berth. And like I say, there's only so many that get in, and it's looking like the Commanders are. It reminds me a lot when I see the Commanders like that RG3. Like, yeah. RG3 was such a good player, and he did so great, and then he just started getting hurt. And once he started getting hurt, it was over. So yeah. I kind of see a little bit of those flashbacks from that. But all in all, that's my weekly NFL top team by division. And like I say, you should be able to see that kind of, shake out a little bit more as we go in. There's going to be teams that just aren't going to be able to make it. They're just not going to have the juice to make it. So we'll see how that shakes out. But then we do the game of the week, right?
Yep.
And so the game of the week this week, I thought was awesome. Like, I just could not believe that the Dolphins were playing as good as they were playing. And, the Bills, granted the Bills were on the road, but man, the Bills are making like so many miscues. And I want to say there was a pretty decent turnover differential. I didn't see the one where he fumbled on the tush push, but where Josh Allen fumbled on a tush push. But
Yeah.
I would imagine that there was a bunch of fumbles that were lost by the Bills that were recovered by the Dolphins. So anytime we look at that giveaway takeaway ratio, that's when you're going to see a big difference, a score like this. And I don't see how the Dolphins offense scored this many points. That was pretty rare. Like I just every time I saw him score, I was like, what? How are they doing that? I think Waddle got in the end zone twice, and so they had some pretty good players for fantasy, which I usually try to stay away from those kind of teams when their offense isn't hitting, and I would probably be more heavy on the Bills offense, when it comes to like James Cook and Dalton Kincaid and stuff. I don't think Dalton Kincaid did anything in that game. So that's one of those things that you kind of have to look at. I don't know if you have the stat for.
Oh yeah, I've got all the stats and everything.
So the rushing yards is one of the things that I really stood out to me. And
there it goes.
Yeah, like the rushing yards was really big deal. I think Ashan broke one for like 80 yards or something. And I don't think Cook even had. He might have got close to 100, but I don't know if he even got 100. So you'll look at this.
James Cook had 53 yards.
Yeah, see?
And Ashane, he had 174 yards on 22 carries with his long one of 59 yards. But he was averaging 7.9 yards a carry, and he had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Just straight nuclear. So, that's the kind of stuff that when you get that stuff kind of clicking, the Bills, they turned into like a one-dimensional team. And if they can't run the ball, then they don't have the talent at wide receiver to go out there and get them back in the game.
Well, plus they had 2 fumbles, and they lost both of them in that game.
True. And that's what I was saying. Like, did Miami even lose one?
Well, the thing that got me, Miami had 1 interception.
Yeah, I thought they did.
And they didn't have no fumbles. So, but when you look at this, I thought this was interesting that the Buffalo defense, they had 6 tackles for loss, but no sacks, where Miami, they had 6 tackles for losses, but they had 3 sacks during the game. Plus, you had the 2 interceptions, so there were 4 turnovers to 1 turnover.
Right.
That's a big difference, and and you hear us all the time. We talk on this podcast about turnovers and special teams that really, really make a big difference in the game. And there was nothing. I mean, Buffalo was better in the kick return game. But overall, there was nothing really in special teams that had anything to do with any of this. Basically, it come down to me, it was the turnovers by Buffalo that killed them.
Yeah, the turnovers and them not being able to establish the run.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, once that gets to be one-dimensional and they just start stacking the box and they're stopping James Cook, then that takes away the play action, and that takes away your passing game too. And I felt that that's really what happened. I mean, when it was 16-0, I was like, Buffalo was not doing anything. Like, their offense was just not going, and like even Josh Allen couldn't do anything about it. Like, he tried to go run and then fumbled it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was funny. That meme, when I saw it, I started laughing because I mean, I do agree with you. I do think that Josh Allen's a better quarterback. But man, that
I
was just
guarantee
like,
you put him on a team with some talent. Whoo, Josh Allen's he's a great quarterback. I like Josh Allen.
no, I mean, it's not that he doesn't have talent. He just doesn't have the greatest weapons. They don't really have any superstar wide receiver.
That's what I'm
Um,
saying. I would love to see Josh Allen on the Cowboys.
yeah,
I would love. Hey,
I don't think
if y'all
Dak
want to make
Prescott
that
would.
trade, we'll give you Dak.
Yeah,
I'll
I
make
mean,
that trade all day long.
yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that. But
No, not gonna happen.
all right, final countdown.
Yep. Last thing.
All right, we had an awesome final countdown this week. I had a bunch of players from the Jaguars, and man, backup quarterback Davis Mills comes in to overcome a 19-point fourth quarter deficit to stun the Jaguars 36-29. And man, was that a beautiful walk-off touchdown or what? I don't know if you saw that game, James, but
No, I didn't
man,
see this one.
it was crazy. Like, um, they just, man, they just did not give up. And I'll never forget the coach. I don't even know who the Texans coach is, but he come running out on the field. It was running down the field with them, and that's pretty awesome to see like how important that was. That they just didn't give up. It looked like the Jags were gonna win that game.
Mm-hmm.
They had them dead to rights, and then all of a sudden Texans just went down the field, scored a touchdown, and did the walk-off touchdown at the end, and man, their fans are going crazy. And like I say, I was actually surprised that the Jags didn't just easily take this, but it just goes to show you that the Texans defense is a lot better than what everyone gives them credit for. And like I say, the Jags, they didn't have Brian Thomas Jr. this week, so that kind of hurt them a little bit. ETN had a decent day. I think ETN had a few good rushes. So,
It's like I say, you got to bring it every week.
yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's pro, if it's college. Every week, every team has to play.
Yeah.
And you take a lower ranked team, they're just waiting to knock you off that perch.
Yeah, it looks like the Eagles are driving right now. So, but yeah, that was an awesome walk off, and congratulations to the Texans for winning the final countdown, week 10. And like I say, Jaguars big losers of the final countdown.
Yes, they were.
Sorry. Sorry there, Jags. You didn't. It wasn't your week. But, at least don't feel too bad, because the Cowboys had, like, the best week that they've had in a long time this week. So, them and the Chiefs had a really good week hanging out in the locker room.
They got plenty of time. I don't think the Cowboys play the next Monday. I think they play Monday, so they've had a long time off to recover and get back in health and everything else. So we'll see
so
how
next
they do.
Monday you're going to be sick, huh?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll be here.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we really appreciate everyone joining us. Thanks so much, Daniel. Appreciate everyone popping in, saying what's up. And, like I say, a lot of people really like the bias of the Longhorns, so,
Right.
we'll have to put that in there, Daniel. A time for a breakdown with the Longhorn bias. So we'll give you a hook of horns for that one with the bias.
I'll tell you this much. They beat Georgia this week. There's going to be a big bias coming next week.
Oh, man. Daniel is going to be on the edge of his seat and just waiting because he loves he loves giving you a hard time, and like I say, he won the quiz last week on the tiebreaker, and that was a little rough, you know. So
Bullshit.
Hey, rigged.
Rigged
Yeah. But we'll see. It was just a topic that you know, is kind of like not the greatest for you, you know, with that I don't know that you know that OSHA that great. So no,
Oh, well.
I'm just kidding.
Not worried about it.
I'm just kidding. No, it's so funny. You're such a great sport about us bombing on you, bro. But we appreciate it. Thank you so much for putting these together. And like I say, I have so much fun doing it, and I'll try to bring up some more fantasy as we kind of go through these, and kind of bring fantasy into it as we go towards the playoffs. Get you guys ready for fantasy playoffs.
Sounds good. All right. Everybody have a good week. We'll see some of y'all Thursday for the electrical podcast.
Yep.
Peace.
Deuces.